There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there for the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Well, hi everybody, this is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, and it's time for another thrift haul. It is late Saturday afternoon, and I hit the flea markets this morning, and I came up with almost everything that you see right here in my kitchen. So let's talk about it. First of all, over here for $1 a box are some really great 1960s Christmas tree ornaments. They're glass ornaments. I'm sorry, yes, glass ornaments. And you can pick these up pretty frequently and pretty inexpensively. I was happy to get these for $1 per box. They're in super condition, and yeah, why pay more? I paid less in 2018 than somebody did circa 1965. Mostly I was interested in the great turquoise or sort of aqua, not aqua, but that 1960s color. Can't you just see these on a silver aluminum Christmas tree? And they're all the same color, made by the same maker, and they probably date to the mid-1960s. Back there for $1 is another one of these Starbucks mugs that people go nuts over. That's the 16-ounce cup. Paid $1 for that, and I've already sold 2 or 3 of those. I can't remember what I get for them, but I think it's somewhere around $15. I'm sure these were reproduced. I have a feeling this is an old one, just kind of by the way it's marked on the bottom. The Bloomfield, let's see, Bloomfield, Indiana, Incorporated, and then it says Chicago, Illinois. Just by the look of it and sort of the way the plastic on the top looks aged, I don't think it's a reproduction. I can probably get $2 or $3 for that. I don't know anything about thermoses because I don't collect lunch boxes, but here's a thermos, and here's an Aladdin thermos. And they're both in really good condition. I guess they're from the 60s. They were also $1 each. Back here is a 1930, I think it's 1937, Coca-Cola tray. If Vintage Vinny is watching, I'll defer to him. He's the expert on these. It's the first one I've ever bought. I know it's not the reproduction because we see here the Coca-Cola Company that is 1938. American Artworks Incorporated. Coshocton, Ohio. It's an original. I think it might be worth about 30 bucks. I know with these condition, there's a little bit of wear, quite a bit of wear around the edges, and a few little pits. She's got a little ding in her eye right there, but basically I think it's pretty good shape. I think this one is referred to as the lady in the yellow dress. I like the colors. I really like the green Venetian blinds. And I paid $10 for it. I'm thinking it's worth about 30. I don't know, Vinny, what do you think? And then down here are 4 tiki mugs or tiki cups. 3 of them are, of course, made by the company that you want to look for, and that is Orchids of Hawaii. That's the, they bring the most. So it's a collection of 4 of them. I paid $5 for the 4. There were actually 5 of them, but one of them was cracked and chipped and I just tossed it. These are all in perfect shape. This is my favorite, and I think the one that would probably bring the most. This very scantily clad Hawaiian lady, or tropical type lady. And then this one is cool with the little jewels in the eye. And again, that's also marked Orchids of Hawaii. This one's funny. I love the surfer, or surferette. Look at her hair. Woo! And this one's unmarked. Don't know who made this one. So I might put them all up as a collection, or I might sell them individually. I think these, and I have sold these before, I think you get maybe 10 bucks each for them, if I remember correctly. Yes, another one of these. This is the only, let's see. I bought this one because I already had one and I was going to update my quantity to 2. And then the very next day, the original one sold. So I have a second one, but I've got to list it. And I think I sold it for 6 or 7 bucks. It's Fire King, Anchor Hocking, and it's the McDonald's Good Morning mug. While we're on Fire King, that's what this is as well. See? Fire King, Anchor Hocking. It's a cute little thing. I'm not familiar with the pattern. I tried to look it up and couldn't find it. There's another one that Anchor Hocking made similar to this that's got fruits, and I think it's called Fruits, Harvest Fruits or something. By the colors, I'm guessing this is the 1970s. It's very small and it's cute with its lid. With some research, I'll find the pattern, I suppose, but that's probably just like a little $10 guy right there. Now this is funny. Excuse me. This morning I bought for $1 because I've never heard of, can you see? Lucky Dutchman. And so I thought, well, it's got to be an advertising glass. It kind of looked 1940s to me with that honeycomb pattern. Jeanette made glasses like this. The color is kind of like a 40s green. But I did some research, and Lucky Dutchman was a brand name for tomato paste or tomato puree. And it was actually packaged and distributed by the Atlantic Packing Company here in Philadelphia. Now, there are several Atlantic packing companies all over the United States. And the only connection I can make with Dutchman is many things that were sold in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania were sort of branded with the Pennsylvania Dutch, which isn't really Dutch at all. Of course, it's German. But the German word for German is Deutsch, Deutschland, and it just became Pennsylvania Dutch. But they're Germans, not Dutch. And I did find online a copy of the tomato paste label. And yes, it's the exact same graphic. He is actually holding in his hand a can of the tomato paste. So why they made a drinking glass, I guess it was a giveaway. Maybe you sent in 5 labels and you got a tumbler. I don't know. But it's kind of a one of a kind, and there it is. $1. So we'll set him back there and we'll keep going. 2 Campbell Soup. Now these are actually Campbell Soup Company 125th Anniversary Collection. That's sort of the turn of the century label. into the 20s, and that's the more modern label. Campbell Soup has a big following around here because, of course, their headquarters is still right across the river from where I'm speaking in Camden, New Jersey. Back there is a copper 1930s paper towel dispenser. I love the Art Deco typography on foil wrap, wax paper, and way down there you can't see, but it says paper towels. And this would hang on the wall in the kitchen, and you put your foil wrap in there. And this is actually made by Garnerware. The name is back there. They made these from the 30s into the 50s, really into the 60s. The design didn't change, but the typography did. So this is the 1930s, 40s deco. It changed in the 50s, and the typography changed again in the 60s. And they were made out of stainless steel. This one is copper. I paid too much for it. I paid 15 bucks. Can I get $30 for it? We'll see. But it was one of those things, I fell in love with it because I love deco, and hopefully I'll be able to sell it. There's the primary set right back there. This I already had. And then in two different places I found the two red guys and the blue. Super condition, no scratches, barely any scratches, really great luster. The lids are great. This set, probably, you see this set selling for anywhere between like $35 to $65. There's quite a range. There are a lot of them out there. There's two different style lids. There's an older style lid and a newer style lid. But this is the first primary set of the refrigerator dishes I've been able to put together. Here we have some Art Deco things. Here's an Art Deco travel iron made by Universal. Really cool. Love this cord. I just love electric items, especially when they have so much design. And this really has great design. Now, I can't do it with one hand, but you actually can press a button and fold this Bakelite handle down so that this can go in your suitcase, and you can press on the road. This I did not pick up today. I picked this up a couple of days ago, but it was at a flea market. So excited to get this. It's circa 1933-35. It's a German-made desk clock. I believe the Heller company made it. It's in perfect working order. Let's see if you can hear it tick. Maybe not with the music playing. But the reason why it says foreign on there is German clocks that were exported into England in the 1930s had to say foreign on them to protect English clockmakers and their rights and so forth. So it doesn't really say Germany anywhere on it. 8-day because you have to wind it every 8 days. Great Art Deco style. It's in really the Bauhaus style. Bauhaus was a German school of art during the 30s, and very modern looking. I don't know if you can tell, but the color of the numbers, it's actually a deep, deep, deep blue color. And you can see from the back, doesn't have an alarm on it, so it probably wasn't meant to be a bedside clock. It's not an alarm clock. The lady was just pulling this out and putting it on the table, and I went, ah, when I saw it. I did, that's the noise I made. And I paid her 10 bucks for it. That's probably an $80 clock. That's gonna be tough to part with because it's so cool. There's a 1950s bow tie, clip-on bow tie. Very typical silk bow tie for men from the 40s into the 50s. Here's a set of what are these? Fondue forks. All right, fondue forks. Yes, it says it right there. Stainless steel. I got 3 boxes. Each box was $1. $1, $1, $1. They're made in Japan, and you can see they all have the little tips, the multicolored plastic tips on the end. I think it was like store stock. We can see back here that they originally sold for $2.85 each. And I actually got stabbed with one of these when I was about 10 years old. I was in a church basement youth meeting in 1977 it would have been, and I was chasing, this girl was chasing me, and either I fell or she tripped, but I did get stabbed with one. So I have a little scar somewhere on me, and it's from a fondue fork. I just thought I would let you know that. Let's move these because it brings back bad memories. Here is a piece of Jeanette Cherry Blossom. Now this was made from about 1930 to 1939, and this color is called blah. See that? How did I lose it? That Delphite. Jeanette called it Delphite. Anchor Hocking called it Azurite. There was another company that called it Powder Blue. It's all blue. This kind of opaque blue glass was big in the 30s. It's called Cherry Blossom because, you ready? See the cherries back there and the blossoms. It's a cake plate. It sells for about $30. That I bought today at a flea market for $1. And finally, in the back is a set or a collection, except for one, of those homemade ceramic items. The Christmas tree in the center, actually I filmed myself when I found it. That I got at a Goodwill this week. The other items came from the flea market. This is Atlantic mold. It's great. It's small. It's the smallest one I've ever had. It's about 12 inches. And if we lift it up off of its base, you'll be able to see right here that it says Atlantic mold. And I'm being very careful because these things chip very easily. And this is in excellent shape, and I'm not going to chip it. Before I talk about the other ones, just very quickly, the homemade ceramic thing was big in the 70s. It actually started in the 60s and it went all the way through the 80s. So when you see these homemade ceramic pieces, they can be made anywhere from about 1960, 61 into the late 80s. Sometimes they are signed by the maker. Sometimes they're dated. There's not a whole lot of definites with these except the years that in which it was popular to make these things. Now this I've had for a while. I just kind of pulled that out to kind of put it with the other pieces to show you. Funny story about this ghost. He's unmarked. There's nothing on the bottom. I knew it was handmade ceramic. I put it online and I listed it as being as the date range of it was 1965 to 1980. And I had somebody write to me and say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're way off. It was made in the 70s. It couldn't have been made in the 60s." And it is a Wilton cake topper. Now, I don't know if you can get a sense of scale, but this guy is about 12 inches tall. That's going to be a pretty big cake. So, first of all, I knew it wasn't a cake topper. And even though this one is not dated, there's no date on it, there were several, well not several, but 3 or 4 of these were for sale online. And I did come across one that was signed and dated on the bottom, 1964. So this mold is at least as old as 1964. That's what's really great when you can find these with dates on the bottom. It's kind of hard to argue with a date scratched into the, or fired into the ceramics. So anyway, this could be as early as 1964, but it also was a mold that was still in use in the 1980s. This one is, I just got, and it's completely unsigned. It's in great shape. So again, we're talking the late 60s, 1970s into the 80s. This one has no date on it. And this was $4. This was $3. This, I wasn't even going to buy it. I picked it up and I said, do I really need another homemade ceramic piece? I set it down and the lady said 25 cents. I had to take it. So I did. This one also isn't Yes, this one is dated. What date do you think is on this guy? Take a guess. You think he's from the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s? Well, I'll show you. This is made by Byron molds, which you can see right there, and it's dated 1972. See that? Copyright 1972, Byron molds. So we're talking about a piece that is getting close to being 50 years old. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Great shape. The Christmas trees bring the most. They can bring anywhere. Well, they're just, it's crazy what they bring. The other guys, this one I think brings about maybe $20 or so, and these guys probably would bring about $20 as well. This back here is not dated and it's not signed. It has a real 1960s look to it to me. By the way the Santa looks, the gold paint, the way the red looks on his outfit. I get the impression that it's a 1960s piece. That S on that knob that you turn for the music box looks very 60s. Anyway, there are no chips or cracks on this. It was cheap, and it does play a song. You want to hear it? Flip the button. Of course, we're having... Hold on. Where's my... Okay. Well, it's a rather funereal sounding Let It Snow, Let It Snow. Not sure why it's so slow. Maybe it was just flurrying, you know, the real snow hadn't come yet. We'll put that back there. Turn him off. And let you listen to the ticking of the clock. Talk about lost sounds. That's a sound you don't hear much anymore. Alright, so that's it. It's my thrift haul. Hope you like it. As soon as I get it listed, it's all going to be for sale. Well, maybe not that. But everything else will be for sale in Scott's Old Curiosity Shop. I will put the link in the video. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. And as always, so long for now.